So let's take a look at Jeremiah 31, a prophecy that was written 2,500 years ago. In verse 32 in a Christian Bible, God says the following: I'm going to make a new covenant with the house of Judah and the house of Israel, not like the covenant that I made with them when I took them out of Egypt. Now, what happened when the Almighty took the children of Israel, the Banu Yisrael, out of Egypt? They brought the children of Israel to the promised land. God made a promise. And the children of Israel very frequently made terrible decisions. So God kept his promise. He was a husband to us, or the word Baalti, he was a master over us. That means he kept his word. But on the other hand, the children of Israel sinned. Okay? Just so people understand, the prophets very much are devoted to telling us about every mistake that the Jews make. So what God is saying, I was the husband to the children of Israel, but the children of Israel broke their side of the covenant. Now, the chapter will continue to say one day the children of Israel return back to the land of Israel and they'll never be expelled again. That's where it's going. Now, Hebrews chapter 8 is not interested in this at all. Hebrews chapter 8 wants you to understand why Judaism is finished, why the children of Israel, or the Old Covenant, or the Old Testament, that's where the term Old Testament comes from. Why do Christians use this term but Jews don't? Because of Hebrews chapter 8. So Hebrews chapter 8, we think, is quoting Jeremiah 31, but it wants to convey that, in fact, God disregarded the children of Israel, disregarded them. It's the exact opposite. So in Jeremiah 31, verse 32, God says, I was a husband to them. So the word in Hebrew, Baal, could mean in Tanakh, a husband is called a Baal. Also a master, someone who is an owner, could call Baal. So God is saying, I was their husband, or I was their master. The author of Hebrews doesn't want that. So what does the author of Hebrews do? It changes it to read, and I disregarded them. But it doesn't say that. Now, in case you're not sure about how I'm reading Hebrews chapter 8, so in verse 9, the passage ends, and I disregarded them. And if we just go 4 verses later to Hebrews chapter 8, verse 13, just so you know that I am not mischaracterizing Hebrews, because somehow I don't like Christianity, and perhaps I am not being charitable with the New Testament, or I'm saying this because I want people to not like the Christian religion. Okay, it's not the case. I'm quoting it in context. The last verse of Hebrews 8 is, in that he said speaking of a new covenant, this is still referring to Jeremiah 31, he makes the first covenant obsolete. And whatever is obsolete and outdated will disappear, will go away, completely destroyed, or utterly destroyed. So you see that the author of Hebrews is seeking to say that God has done away with the Bnei Yisrael, the Banu Yisrael, the children of Israel, and in fact, he changes the words of the text in order to convey that message. How do you play with the Bible? How do you change it? And if you're going to change it, you think a Jew is going to become a Christian? Like, why would you do that? These sort of playing with the original text is a corruption. This is not a mistake. This is very deliberate. Christians in particular who believe that the Hebrew Bible is holy, it's all holy, they have to ask the question, why did the book of Hebrews change it? And it changes the Bible many times in a very specific place. Why did they change it? And the Septuagint, which is a Christian product, this is what Christians will all say, that the Septuagint, a Greek translation of the Bible, backs up is consistent with Hebrews. But the reason for that is the Septuagint of our day, which is a Greek translation of the Bible, came through the church. And the church is very, I don't think it's complicated. What the church did was it created a Greek translation that would be consistent with its corruptions. I just want to make one point to get this very clear to the viewers. The Christian claim is that I can prove to you that Jesus is the Son of God from the Hebrew Bible, from Tanakh. That's their claim. Their claim is that I could prove to you that Christianity is the true religion, the only true religion, from the Hebrew Bible clearly. That's their claim. And then we go, well, let's take a look at this. And then it's not there. And it's corrupted. And we have to go to Greek translations. But that wasn't the original claim. This, my friends, is a huge problem.
Thanks a lot. I have two questions to understand it better. First of all, why should what's your point of view? Why should the author of the Hebrew book change this important sentence? I mean, like you said, in Jeremiah it stands, "I was your husband." Yeah. And I mean, it's a picture, like you said. Yeah, it's a picture what God used. Yeah.
Isaiah 54 also has God as Israel's husband. It's the same. That's not this is all over Tanakh. The only two places in all of the Bible where that Hebrew word appears, Ba'alti. Now, the root, like in Arabic, Hebrew is this sister language. It's all roots. It's like, let's say, cousins. They're very close languages, okay? So this root, Baal, a husband or a master, appears all over. The root does. But this exact formation, this precise formation with the prefix and the suffix only appears one other time in all the Hebrew Bible, and that's in Jeremiah 3, verse 14. Same book, just chapter 3, verse 14, and there it's translated correctly. I was your husband or your master. There everybody gets it correct. So you understand how crazy this is? In Jeremiah 3:14, you have the same Hebrew word, and there nobody plays with it. And there the Septuagint translates it correctly. This is criminal behavior. That's all I could say.
So, Hans,
Yes,
the
yes.
point that the Christians are trying to make is that Paul reads the Septuagint version of the Hebrew Bible, and that's why he said different things. So that's the argument of the Christian.
Right. So there's so many problems with this, I don't know where to begin. Number one, why would they think Hebrews was written by Paul? The book of Hebrews doesn't say who wrote it. It's an anonymous book.
No proof. There's no proof.
It's not there's no proof. It's just there's no reason to even believe that. For those of you who read the book of Hebrews, it's written very well. It's very systematic. There's no reference. All of the letters, 13 letters of Paul, state that Paul wrote it, and he repeats it. I wrote it, I saw it, and I did it. There's nothing in the book of Hebrews, nothing like that. Moreover, Paul was a person who was very, in English, called temperamental. He got angry very easily. So if you read his writings, he just gets very, in Yiddish we say verhitzt. I speak Yiddish, so it's like, verhitzt means heated up. He's very, anyways, he had a big temper, right? So he's just all over. He's back, forth. He's very angry and upset, and it comes through in all of his letters, that style. The book of Hebrews is written in much better Greek, and it's very systematic, very, very, so it's silly for people to say that that Paul wrote Hebrews. And I should say, to defend Christians, most Christians, almost all Christians, concede that Hebrews was not written by Paul. So it's silly. That's number one. Number two is there's nowhere that it says that Paul was using a Septuagint. Nowhere. This is like made up from a UFO. Number 3, if Paul was a Pharisee, a student of Gamliel, that means he was a great rabbi, why would he be using a translation? That's insane.
That's the main question.
It's could you imagine that or you would go into a synagogue in Jerusalem and you'd see the chief rabbi, okay? Imagine if he'd be reading a Greek or an English translation. You would laugh. It would be so ridiculous. And it's not only Greek, it's not like English. Greek was an enemy culture and enemy language. Please don't be offended, but it would be like a rabbi reading in German to himself. Germany, why would we be writing it like it makes no sense. Moreover, we're going to go crazier now. I'll take you somewhere you've never been before. I'll say something I don't think I ever said on air. You have to listen very carefully. Christians are claiming that the writings of Paul are not his own thoughts and reflections. They claim that the letters of Paul wrote these letters with the Holy Spirit, that he was a prophet. Paul says that whatever he says is directly from God, and he has a revelation directly from Jesus Christ. Directly. He doesn't have from the apostles in Jerusalem. The Holy Spirit is in him. Now, this is what you have to believe. Now, listen, this is a little deep, but you have to listen. If you understand this and you're a Christian, you'll immediately cancel your credit cards. Listen very carefully. Why would the Holy Spirit quote from a Septuagint? That's insane. That means Paul is a prophet as far as Christians are concerned. So let's say we say Hebrews written by Paul. Whatever. Almost no Christian believes that today. The church fathers use that argument to get Hebrews into the New Testament. Everyone knows it's not true. When I say everybody, 95% agree. It's silly. But let's just say it was. Christians are saying that the book of Hebrews is a holy book. It was inspired by the Holy Spirit, that God gave this prophecy to the writer. God said, wait a moment, I have to look at a Greek translation because I forgot how to write in Hebrew. Why would God go quoting from a Septuagint? Last point. The claim of the church is, I can prove it to you from your Hebrew Bible. And then we look it up as a corruption. What happened to your original claim? That's the claim that matters. So that's very critical for people to understand this. If you enjoy these programs, please like and subscribe.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ועת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא